You're listening to the Secondtime Watches podcast with your host, OJ the OG.
Hey, everybody. This is OJ, the OG with the Secondtime podcast. So I'm here with Mikey Fridman, a very good friend, esteemed watch collector, self-described tastemaker, which I quite like as a description.
Thank you.
And of course, founder of the newest watch enthusiast community, Horology Connection. Mikey, welcome to the Secondtime podcast.
Thank you, OJ. It's truly a pleasure to be here with you today.
You're a pretty heavy-duty and pretty passionate watch collector. You said you're 42 years old. I want to know where it all started. Like, give me that first glimmer of how watches entered your bloodstream.
Yeah, so thank you for that. If I trace it back, I would say my relationship with watches didn't necessarily start with a purchase.
Sure.
Like
most of us, right?
Yeah,
we couldn't afford the watches.
So go back to 1991. I'm 7 years old.
7 years old, 1991.
My grandfather has this beautiful Rolex Oysterquartz watch.
No kidding.
That he wears almost every single day. And what I remember most about it, it's not the way that it looked, but it's the way that it sounded, almost an electrical ticking sound.
Really?
So it
was loud. It was audible.
It was loud. As you know, not many Rolexes are quartz movements.
Yeah, of course. Well, that was always the telltale sign that someone was wearing, like in the early days, right?
Yeah.
When I was a little kid, it's ticking, it's not sweeping, it must be fake.
It must be fake, right?
Like there was, yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's what you think, right? So, not having a smooth sweeping mechanism, but it was really crisp, it was precise.
Sure.
And it's really assertive, and it was different than everybody else. So that's really what kind of got me into the watches.
Right. So your grandfather, are you Latin?
I am Latin.
Yeah, so you're like abuela? Is that what it is?
Abuelo.
Your abuela. Your abuelo.
Yeah, my abuelo.
So did you think like this was like a statement kind of watch? It's just like his banger watch and he just wore it every day?
I think it was an everyday piece. I don't necessarily think he had any other pieces in his collection, but it was one of those like very bold, powerful pieces.
Right.
Angular design, really, really rough around the edges.
Sure.
And that's kind of who my grandfather was. He was a guy that was pretty big in stature, about 6'2", 6'3".
Wow.
Probably about your size. And it really represented who he was as a person. And I actually have a vivid memory of him picking me up from school one day and taking me to go see the Terminator 2 movie.
The Terminator 2.
And that watch was really fitting to the environment around that, being really bold and being an amazing action movie.
Sure.
So, yeah.
And being like a TikTok, like robotic kind of watch more so than an analog kind of watch.
Exactly. So
that's interesting.
And if you were to open up that watch, it was one of the most decorated quartz movements made at the time.
Yeah, you're like, this doesn't look like a quartz movement. There's moving parts in here, right? Like,
exactly.
I know exactly what you're saying, because it was like,
fast forward to 1997. I'm 13 years old. I'm
13 years old.
Celebrating my bar mitzvah. And my cousin...
Mazel tov.
Thank you. So my cousin Barry flies in from Australia. And Barry was quite a quirky guy.
Yeah. Now you're 13. How old is he?
He must have been in his early 50s.
Okay.
Or so. Right?
Okay.
And so Barry shows up here. He had a personality, a presence, and a little bit of mystery to him. He shows up. He actually carried a business card, which was pretty interesting, that read his name, Barry Miller, and then under it just said retired gentleman. No phone number whatsoever.
Retired gentleman with no contact details.
Yeah. So I remember thinking, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
Right? He must have been in his mid-50s, very confident, very relaxed, very unbothered.
Okay.
And that's kind of how Barry carried himself. And even to this day, I also say I want to be a retired gentleman by 55.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he wasn't wearing a watch or a watch that stuck out to you at the time necessarily?
I think he had like a Tag Heuer stainless steel, I guess one must have been a steel and gold that little S curve.
Oh yeah, the sports
bracelet.
elegance,
Sports
the
elegance,
jigsaw, that
exactly.
jigsaw bracelet.
Yeah, he was wearing that.
So what year again was this?
97.
90. Okay,
97.
yeah, it makes sense now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he brought
Yeah.
2 gifts for me that year. Okay, to commemorate becoming a man. As you know, for a bar
course.
mitzvah, you become a man.
Yeah.
One
Being
was
called to the Torah.
one was a set of golf clubs, and the other one was a Tag Heuer Formula One watch.
No kidding. Wait, it was the one with the rubber strap.
The one with the rubber strap.
And
yeah.
which color scheme was it?
It was a black with the red chapter ring.
Oh
on it.
yeah, love
actually,
that one.
I have a photo of it, and we could probably superimpose.
Such
it.
vivid memories of that watch.
Definitely.
So would you say that would be your first Swiss luxury watch?
I would say that was my first
Yeah.
luxury watch, and I think it would be my first luxury watch.
Right.
Prior to that, I was more into like swatches and
Sure. Yeah, me too. Me
cheaper
too.
Watches.
Yeah. Technically, though, a swatch would be your first Swiss luxury watch, even though it was more of a fashion watch, I guess you could say.
Sure.
But from a Swiss perspective, and that was what Swatch Watch was about. It was the first, attainable Swiss watch for the common person.
Yeah, to get people,
know?
I think, interested in the watches.
Yeah,
And they did a lot of
sure.
collaborations.
Oh, I love that fact that, at one point, Swatch special edition watches were among the most highly collectible and coveted pieces. And I remember they made a piece for Jean-Paul Gaultier.
That's
and it was called there was a Madonna piece. And the only
I think
way
my sister had that.
and to get that watch, you had to go to a party on a deserted island somewhere, and that's where they gave you the watches.
That's interesting.
I think it's amazing to think about relative to Swatch was what saved the Swiss watch business.
Yeah, and
Literally
during that time,
Swatch
right?
financed and brought everything back from the brink of death. And from my consciousness back then, I just thought it was a cool looking watch.
Yeah, I was young at the time, so I had no idea what the watch industry was really, working
Yeah.
with, other than the fact that there was new technologies coming out at the
Yeah.
time, right?
And you didn't, then you weren't saying, I really want something a little more complicated with a mechanical movement relative to a battery, quartz battery operated movement.
That's right. Sure.
Like the quartz battery operated movements were the best because you never had to reset them. You never had to set the time, right?
Yep. Just the battery died, you had to replace it, and that was
100%. So do you still have that Tag Heuer?
I do not. Unfortunately, I do not have that Tag Heuer. When you start collecting watches, as you know, you try to want to trade up sometimes. So I do have a little bit of regret selling that watch, but I do have a photo of it, and it will always live in my memory.
Yeah. So the funny thing about that watch, because I've been tracking this watch, because I wanted to replace mine that I had from the Sharper Image. And I actually went through 4 of them because there was a 60-day return period. And so I could wear the black and yellow, I could wear the black and red, I could wear
advantage.
I had the green and red for a while. And I think I ended up with the black and the blue one. But I recently replaced it with the black and yellow. But the funny story about this watch is I think 2 years ago, they came out with a collaboration with Kith.
They did.
To re-release the original Formula One Kith at a retail price of $16.95, I think.
It was
Now-
probably 10x the price that when it originally came
Up
out?
to this point, you could buy these Tag Heuers on the bracelets, this generation of F1, this first generation of F1 watches for $125, $150. And then as soon as those Kiths were released, every Tag Heuer Formula One from that first gen became a $1,200 watch.
Yeah, that's right. I did see them trading on eBay for between $600 and $1,200, depending on the color.
Insane.
But yeah,
Insane.
But that's what's beautiful about the watch industry. Everything's cyclical.
Everything that's
And,
old is new
everything
again,
will come old. That's right.
100%.
So
yes.
coming from that Oysterquartz, that was kind of the beginning. Of, the beginning.
That was your
of
ground
the,
zero
of the bite, right? Of the
that
bite
was
of
where
the
you
watches.
became sort of conscious of watches as an extension of someone's personality, I think.
Definitely. Yeah. But when my grandfather passed, one of my sisters actually claimed the Oysterquartz immediately.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
So-
was it stainless and gold? Was it two-tone?
It was a two-tone version.
Had to be, right? He's a Latin guy. It's got to be
It
two-tone.
was
Come
It
on.
was a two-tone watch with, with that champagne dial.
Right, and that stretched out Jubilee bracelet, right?
Very stretched out. Yeah, very stretched out from being a massive guy.
Yes.
But in a strange way, it kind of forced me to kind of go out there and buy my own.
Right, and do your research.
Yeah.
So what year was that? When your grandfather died?
Probably around 90, 98, 99. Yeah, about 2 years.
So
after
your
my
sister
bonus.
got, were there any other watches?
There were a couple other watches that were within the family, but they weren't necessarily given
Right.
at that time. Right? They were mostly
They were
taken.
appointments.
Yeah. So coming from that, wanting that, having that thought in my mind of the oyster quartz, it always stuck with me. Growing up, listening to that tick, being close to his arm, walking side by side.
Right.
That oyster quartz was really like the it watch.
Right.
that
And hearing
really
the
took
rattle
over
of
me.
that bracelet too.
Yeah, exactly. So, slowly you buy one, then it becomes two, then it becomes
Yeah,
three.
of course.
And I actually decided to bring my oyster quartz collection here to share with you.
Ah,
today.
fantastic. I can't wait then, man. All right. So the next watch you buy on your journey is a Rolex Oysterquartz after your grandfather dies.
Yeah.
How long after your grandfather died?
Well, let's kind of go back a little bit
Okay.
there, right? So, my first year out of college, I started my corporate career in healthcare.
Okay.
And my father decides to gift me a 1967 GMT Master.
Holy
It's
moly.
it's one that he was gifted for his graduation.
No kidding.
So that's really what made it the connection for me, that watches are not necessarily just something that's tied to emotion.
Sure.
But it's something that can continue on with legacy.
100%. 100%.
So after receiving that watch, the first thing I did with my first corporate bonus was purchase another watch, right? And that one happened to be a new version of the tag, just like you said.
No kidding.
Right?
No kidding.
So, and it was a $1,200 bonus. Probably at the time, it would
Right.
have been a much better idea either to invest it into my 401k plan. But with the emotion tied to that, I decided to just go out and purchase that watch. And I wore that watch for years, throughout my career.
So was it with the metal bracelet, or was it the same one, same version
So
with the rubber strap?
I had the metal version,
Yeah.
and then I ended up buying the rubber strap at one of those Orlando.
The NAWCC
Yeah,
shows.
yeah.
Oh my gosh,
yeah,
we could talk
yeah.
about those too.
And I got a great deal on that rubber strap. I think I paid like $50 or $60.
So if anyone out there has one of those rubber straps, I'm looking for a replacement one. And Tag Heuer, when I sent my watch to them, they sent it back and said we can't replace
They
this
can't
strap.
replace the strap. Yeah. So
I couldn't believe
those,
it,
Those
so.
parts are being harder and harder to find.
And the thing about it is, I don't think you can put any other strap on that watch the way the case is molded around it. It's I'm kind of upset about it because I would like to wear that watch. You know?
I mean, so even though it's a tag, it has.
How could they not make those straps? Come on,
you would
it's
think,
irritating.
right?
So if anyone has one of those straps, I'm looking for one. All right, so you got the next generation or the current generation F1. You wore that for a period of time, and you're in healthcare. What are you doing in healthcare at this
So
point?
I was working in human resources,
Okay,
right?
sure.
And working in biotech and in healthcare kind of gave me the perspective of what most collectors, have, right?
Sure.
Having access to people's salaries and compensation, it really does a number on your psyche, right?
And you're like, how can that guy be wearing that watch? There's no freaking way. He must have family money.
So, well, that's the thing. So I became fascinated with comparing, what people had on their wrist in a boardroom setting.
Oh, wow.
And you could walk into a boardroom and instantly read personalities.
Sure.
Especially having the information that I had at the time.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? So, there was a couple people that kind of stood out to me over the last couple years. One of them was the CEO of a finance company. He wore an IWC. It was pretty subtle, but it was powerful.
Was it like a Portuguese or?
I think it was a Portuguese.
Yeah, the banker's watch.
Yeah. And then there was another biotech executive that was more interested in the way that the watch matched his outfit than the actual cost.
Right down to the shoes and the
associated
belt?
with it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I know those guys.
Yeah, and I hope he's listening today that I'm talking about him. And then I think the third guy would probably be when I first started out, the chief human resources officer of a healthcare company. He had one of those, this was back in 2009, he had one of those Breitling Navitimers.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was like a 47 millimeter watch.
Sure.
And that was really bold and powerful message to
It was
to
probably
send out
like
to
the
people.
World Navitimer is the biggest one they made. Yeah.
He had a lot of power, that guy. He could fire and hire people. So, it's interesting how you have personalities and you can kind of look at people's watches.
Oh, yeah.
And see the psychology behind
Sure.
why they chose
Yeah.
to wear those watches.
And I think what's also super interesting, and I've frequently said this, is like luxury watches are like a 0 or a 1. It's like you love them or you don't. And there's nothing that anyone can tell you that's going to make you love them.
Yeah.
You might fall into it and discover it and start it, and we certainly welcome that. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but I'm saying like you can look at a person and be like, there's a 0 or a 1. And I'm not going to try to convert them.
Yeah. But
and you got your hard ones and you got your hard zeros, but it's very clean cut.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't think the watch price has much to do with it.
Yeah.
It's more about how it fits your personality.
100%. And that's what I
how
love.
it makes you feel.
And I'll say this, what I love so much about the Horology Connection community is it's not about the expensive watch that you're wearing on your wrist or how much it costs. It's about sharing what you have to allow other people to appreciate it.
Exactly.
It's like taking people for riding your Ferrari. When I had my Ferrari, my most favorite thing in the world to do was to take little kids for rides around the neighborhood.
just to expose them
Because
to that, right?
I didn't get in my first Ferrari until I was 30 years old.
I still haven't been in one.
Come on now. Yeah, until I was 30 years old. I didn't even sit in a Ferrari. I just gawked at them in amazement, thinking, how can I ever get one? So when I got that car, I was like, I'm taking everyone in the neighborhood for rides.
Nice.
Zipping up and down the roads.
That's very
menace.
very different to most people that own Ferraris, right? Most people that own a Ferrari wouldn't even want a kid to step inside the car, wearing shoes or putting some snot or something.
Yeah,
But,
you're right. And I was like, what's the point?
But I think that things are meant to be used, right? And especially
shared.
when shared.
Yeah, 100%.
So when it comes to timepieces or things that are materialistic,
Yeah.
they're there to be used and abused. That's really the way I see it.
And I think that one thing that I've seen come out of COVID more than anything else is this emphasis on shared passion and community.
Yeah.
Right, and I love that. I love what you're doing with Horology Connection in that respect, and love to be a part of that as well.
Thank you. Yeah, you are a part of it.
Yeah, I know. Appreciate being a part of that.
You're a big influence, actually, to me and to the community. So we're really proud to have guys like you and women like Sophie Rindler. Part of the community. It's it brings me a lot of pleasure that everyone's embraced it a lot.
Yeah, and I think that if you look at some of these clubs and societies that have come up over the years, they were founded on this sort of Fight Club. We don't talk about Fight Club exclusivity kind of theme that was less than inclusionary.
Yeah, so that's kind of how we differentiate ourselves. We're not necessarily a club. We're more of a community.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? And I think that makes a big difference.
Yeah, and we kind of realized that, through the event that we had last week, representing companies like Nevada Gretchen. Mm-hmm. They're a 100-year company, but they're a small micro brand.
And highly attainable.
Yeah, highly attainable watch. I hadn't held one in my hand before. There was a lot of people that showed up to that event. A couple of them went home with a nice watch on their wrist.
Right.
And even at that price point, they're a perfect gift.
Yeah, you're right. They are. And what better way to share, and celebrate, that passion. And it's funny because you mentioned Nevada. This PAM 64, if you look at the Nevada, I think it's the Depth Master, like they're kissing cousins of each other, right down to the markings on the bezel and this sort of donut-shaped bezel.
They were both designed around the same time.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know who designed first.
Right,
but,
exactly.
You ask Nevada, they say them.
Unmistakably, they are related, like kissing cousins.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about the watches you brought for us to share today.
Sure. So today I brought my Oysterquartz collection. It kind of represents chapters in my life, obviously. But we have here 3 different models. One is from 1978, 79, and 1980. All
wow.
Right? So the first one here on the right-hand side.
I just want to say, right out of the gate, it's freaking uncanny how that middle one looks like a land dweller.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah.
It really is. If you saw this from this far away, is that a land dweller?
It has the design characteristics of a land dweller, right? Yeah. So the first one on the right-hand side, that's your first generation. Rolex 17000.
Okay.
Right? First generation, you'll be able to tell that it only has 3 lines. It has Oysterquartz on the bottom. Mm-hmm. This is before the COSC certification of the watch. So this is the first generation MK1 dial.
Right.
Then the one in the middle is a 1980 reference 17014, silver dial, white gold bezel, fluted bezel, architecture, refined, very mature watch, right?
Yeah.
And then you have the one on the left is a 1979 reference 17013. That's the one that's closest to my grandfather's essence.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it actually has something special. There's a Tiffany & Co.
Yeah. Ooh.
Double sign dial. So it's kind of like a celebration of arrival of all the energy that I've put into collecting these watches.
Sure.
I haven't seen another one on the market.
Yeah.
And I'm planning on keeping that for the rest of my life.
Does this one come with any kind of paperwork or anything like that?
It does not have paperwork, but I ended up taking it to Tiffany & Co. In New York. And there's actually a little bit of a scratch on the back end of it that has another Tiffany & Co. Like some kind of reference number that they have internally.
Really?
So that's how I found out that it was legit.
And would Tiffany give you any kind of documentation or like an archive or anything?
I'm working on it.
Oh, that would be pretty
I'm working
special.
on it. And then really the one that brings it to all culmination is the 2025 Land Dweller.
Right.
Right? Modern evolution, integrated bracelet, and it really completes the set. And it wasn't really about completing a checklist. It was about closing a circle in my life.
Sure. Yeah. So the oldest one in here is from what era, you think?
1978,
78?
79, 1980, 2025.
Wow, that's pretty cool. So just to confirm, you do not, or have you ever had that one, because they have a it's a Datejust in an Oysterquartz case.
With the
But it's
automatic
automatic.
movement, yeah.
And I had one of those, and I regret selling it because I thought it was so freaking cool.
So that's the thing. That one was a really, really rare piece. I've only seen 2 of them appear on the secondary market. Both were in
They're
really,
that rare
really,
now,
really
huh?
crummy condition. Really crummy condition. So, believe it or not, these Oyster Quartzes, they had a very long production period, but
Yeah.
they had a really short production. So between the time of 78 to 2001, apparently they produced about 25,000.
Really? That's it?
Yeah,
That's it. Wow.
So it could be
No
one
kidding.
of the smallest productions of Rolexes in history.
Right.
So bring me back to like early 2000s, right? You're
Yeah.
starting your career in the watch industry.
Sure. My origin story is that I sold Panerai hardcover books on eBay as my first endeavor on eBay relative to watches.
Nice.
And that was kind of the financing, channel. I made thousands of dollars.
Selling books in order to buy watches.
Selling, that's exactly what it
Yeah.
was. I got lucky along the way and got some more watches. But, prior to 2005, if you went on eBay and typed in Panerai, there were less than... prior to 2002, there's probably 5 items with the word eBay in it. There was no aftermarket straps. Those things didn't come into being.
So when did you become a power seller on eBay? Because that was a fun, important thing, I think, in
Yeah,
early
I have a
2005,
crazy
right?
eBay story because I bled eBay from the time I got on in 2000 through 2007 when I got kicked off eBay.
So why'd you get kicked off of eBay?
I got kicked off
Can you
eBay.
share that?
I got kicked.
I also got kicked off of eBay.
They never.
don't
So
feel
you
too bad.
remember how often they used to kick people off eBay?
Yeah, for
and
whatever reason.
you couldn't go to your friend's house and create a new account because they would have something in there and they would cut that account off, or they would make you wait 3 weeks till you could start listing anything of value, right? Yeah. So, as the story goes, I was in possession of a very, very special Panerai. It was the PAM 203. At the time, there was the PAM 127 1950, which was the 47 millimeter 1950, right? And then there was the 203, which was the exact same thing, but with an Angelus movement. And it was only made in 150 pieces. And it was announced, and none of them had sort of hit the market. And I had a very special client who asked me to sell his 203 for him. And I posted this watch on eBay, not thinking it was worth $1 million, but thinking that would be a good place to start or best offer.
It's
and
pretty
in
ballsy.
2007, I broke the internet by posting a PAM 203 from kind of a well-known superstar, because I forgot whose watch it was. And then a week later, I was kicked off eBay.
Wow. Would you do it again?
Fuck yeah. I'm a risk taker, man. That's the one
Yeah.
thing I learned about being an entrepreneur in the watch business is I'm a much better rule breaker than rule follower.
Same here.
And there were never any rules. There's no standards. I mean, imagine what selling watches was like in 2005. 2010. And it's completely changed 180 degrees now from then. But it was definitely a different world. And like I said, the whole, the difference is information. So many people could get away with so much more stuff then than now.
Yeah.
And even now, things are coming back in people's, stories.
Sure.
Like, what?
Sure.
You said this?
Yeah.
And you thought that?
Or you sold that and it wasn't real, right? So
like if you go back to like the Panaristi, if you could go back to their archives and you'd see me thinking I had a Slytech when I just had a misnumbered Panerai, like just
some prototype.
But that's what Panerai was about. Panaristi was about. It was this one place you could go and put it out there, and people would come back and tell you you're stupid, or they was, here's the thing. And it was a very inclusive environment, I think.
Yeah, nice.
And definitely contributed a lot to my success in the watch business. Was being part of the Panaristi community and just my natural love and affinity for Panerai watches.
Yeah. I think like legacy and having a name for yourself and being a trusted source, that's really the only way to be in this business.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you one other thing, really. When we're talking about authenticity, and one of the things that I relied upon, and I think it's sort of ingrained what I stem on to this day with regard to watches, is it's not about the watch. It's about everything else.
Sure.
It's about the box set. It's about the hang tag. It's about the sticker on the outside of the box set. Because in Panerai language, that sticker on the outside of the box set has a movement number, and that movement number matches the chronometer certificate. And if you didn't specify or show pictures of the sticker or lack thereof, and you sent that watch to a customer, they might send it back because it didn't have the sticker. And without the sticker, they couldn't confirm that the chronometer certificate matched the watch.
So it had to be like complete set.
So it was about meticulous detail. And Panerais were the guys that innovated, like that sticker that matched that chronometer certificate, that matched that warranty card. And it wasn't a fill-in warranty card, it was an embossed credit card type warranty card if it was a Panerai sold through the US, for example.
Okay.
But the whole point was my authentication was based on, the contents or lack thereof, because I could pin more on that than looking at the watch. As I say today, man, I'll tell you what, I would rather see a fake, a Rolex watch with the fake box set, and that will give me the first flag. But you give me one watch to look at, but you give me the watch with a fake box set, and I know what to look for on a Rolex fake box set. I know to look for the glued seat.
I think they smell different too. Is that right?
They smell like polyurethane.
Yeah, they're created in a different country.
Paint thinner, 100. It's so funny you say that, but yeah, they smell like. And yeah, now there's all kinds of little tricks and tips, but that's all out there on the internet. And for me, it was like if it walks like a duck and it talks like a duck, it's probably a duck. So, and here's what it is. It's the box. It's the sticker. Oh, look, let me show you the unders. Like, one of the best ways to tell fake Panerais was to show the underside of the strap. Because if it was the wrong color liner, you're like, or to show the buckle. But how many people are showing buckles with watches now? It's like you get that one little shot or whatever, but it's like that one picture, nothing but that buckle in it.
Yeah, and
front
I think
and back.
The Panerai was probably one of the most faked watches of the early 2000s.
It was, and that's why for a long time I would not buy a Panerai watch unless it had box and papers,
the full paperwork,
or unless it had some kind of story or something. The beautiful thing about that was in 2017, Panerai came out with PAMguard, so you could have a watch that was naked, enter the serial number into PAMguard, and if it was a post-2015 watch, it would show up with the serial number and the PAM reference number in the PAMguard. And to this day, it's an extremely valuable tool because, I'll buy a naked Panerai, especially if when I put it into the PAMguard, it shows that it's under warranty through 2030. Mm-hmm. Then I know I got a real watch.
And this system, this PAMguard system, is it you have to pay to use it?
No, it's free.
It's free.
You just create an account on the it's like the Panerai customer care account, and it's also all Richmont brands have this digital ownership registry.
Yeah, imagine if Rolex had that.
Oh,
that'd be a game changer.
But they don't want that.
Yeah, they don't want it.
They don't want that. That would create way too much. That would make too much of a Nirvana environment for Rolex collectors, traders, buyers, and resellers.
Yeah,
that's what we need.
Yep.
So, like, as a fellow survivor of the eBay wars back in the the 2000s, you said you got kicked off eBay also?
Yeah, we did. So my sister and I had a company called Bidding Boutique in the early 2000s. I guess it was my first entrepreneurial spirit opportunity, where we would go to people's houses and we would liquidate their merchandise.
We sell your shit on eBay.
Exactly. One of our clients was, I guess I can't name the client because it's an NDA, but one of our clients was a famous musician.
I'll guess who it was.
A famous musician who lived on Miami Beach.
Okay.
And he had a bunch of memorabilia. Okay. It was one of the boy bands. That's
kidding.
I'll give you that hint. Okay. And we had all this memorabilia. We actually ended up getting in trouble by the Mattel company for selling memorabilia that was licensed to them. They weren't happy that we were selling their memorabilia for
so they gave you the cease and desist
below market, and it was signed by the person. So we were selling all this memorabilia on eBay, and then ended up getting kicked off over some licensing issues.
Yeah, because that's under do you remember the acronym that they did that under?
No, tell me.
It's called VERO. Verified Rights Ownership.
There you go.
And basically the way it works is, if you join our VERO program as a manufacturer, you just tell us which listings you don't like and we'll kill them.
Mm-hmm. So, but that was around the time of the .coms.
Sure.
So we just ended up transitioning to a website. But it didn't work as well, obviously, because we didn't have that global reach that eBay had. Yeah.
Sure. And now think about the state of collectibles today versus then.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
And do you think that stuff that you had back then is worth big money today, or
not necessarily?
So it was was it a Latin boy band?
It was not a Latin boy.
It was not a Latin boy.
It
band.
was not a Latin.
It was a
boy.
Miami Beach.
But it was a boy band from your generation, not
my
mine.
generation. Well, that's got to be Backstreet Boys, man.
There you go.
There we go.
There you go. There you go.
Backstreet Boys.
Yeah.
All right.
Backstreet's back. Yeah. Actually, I think they are back.
All right. So I would love to share more about Horology Connection. Like, share with us. Tell me about, the what, the where, the how, the why of Horology Connection.
Yeah, so things are pretty fresh. We really only launched February 1st, but it really was kind of a combination of a couple people and an event that we ended up working. The Miami Watch Summit through our friend Kamal.
Sure.
And my friend David. Kamal brought David and I on.
And that was through Haute Living, Haute Watches.
Through Haute Living.
Right.
So he kind of brought us on to help launch that first summit. So I guess from that, it kind of birthed a moment and a light bulb went off that, we realized that the event was more than just us. It was really our connections, the community around us. And collectors don't just want to buy watches. They want to connect with people.
Yeah, of course.
Right? So we formally launched on February 1st. We've got about 140 members so far. It's not a paid tier program. There's no gatekeeping. It's completely free. It's really about just giving people the exposure to being able to pick up a watch, to go to an event, to talk to other people, to learn more about other individuals, right? So we've got people that are collectors. We have industry leaders like yourself and Sophie. We've got some celebrities that I won't name, part of the group. And it's really about a more powerful group and more than just me and more than just about Miami. And that's really what it's about.
Right.
So,
and it's more about what brands you patronize or, where you're buying your watches.
Yeah.
Which a lot of these groups are about, we cater to this level of watch or,
Exactly.
It can be exclusionary.
So, it can be exclusionary and, things don't always really have to be so fancy at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, at the end of the day, watch guys just want to hang out with other watch guys.
Exactly. So, for this year, we've got 2 major brands that we're working with. I can't necessarily say who they are publicly, but working through other communities. My friend Jason started a community called the Jewish Watch Society. Okay, that's also another community that I'm very involved with. He's been growing that tremendously. That also started around the same time. His is just a little bit more different. Jason's is more around the community around the Jewish watches and Hebrew dial watches.
Yeah, sure.
Right? Really identifying the language of the Hebrew language and infusing that into horology. And that's really what collectors are shaping these days. It's not necessarily about buying things.
Right.
It's more about creating, and I think that's
Right,
really
and they're
the
looking
shift.
for like a theme that's sort of a larger than life that they can bring into their.
So the last watch that I brought to show with you is actually that Jewish Hebrew watch that we had created. We ended up finding a very, very young, I think the watchmaker's about 22 years old, out of Belgium, created this beautiful watch for us. So I'm going to show it to you right now.
And what's the name of the brand?
It's called Les Artisans,
Wow.
out of Belgium, 21 years old.
The first thing I see is the Jewish star on the dial.
Yes. So
But it's so discreet.
it's very subtle. So that's
This
a
is
mother of
gorgeous.
pearl,
My
mother of
God.
pearl dial. It's a 38 millimeter watch. We wanted to make sure that we made something that fit everybody in the club.
Wow.
We made about 18 versions of that watch. Hebrew dial watch. The back, the inscription
So
says
it's a micro rotor.
micro rotor. Inscription says Am Yisrael Chai.
Nice. Israel shall live forever and ever.
Israel shall live forever.
Yeah, baby. You recall
Yeah.
that one from
Yeah.
Sunday school.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're
Hi.
coming out with another 2 watches towards the end of the year.
No
They're going to be
kidding.
limited
Wow.
quantity.
Yeah.
2 major brands, like
So
I said.
is this what would you say the pedigree of this watch is? Like movement wise?
Oh, movement wise, it's it's a relatively inexpensive Hong Kong movement. I believe
Okay.
that's an HK 9000.
Okay.
Yeah, but just highly decorated. You'll notice the
So
decoration.
it would kind of be like is it fair to say that like the derivatives would be like derivatives of Grand Seiko's kind of technology?
I would say at a cheaper price point.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right.
So between under 2,000, I'd say.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But not a Miyota, right? Miyota's a whole different gig, right?
Yeah, it's a different gig.
Yeah, and that's
but
a-
you'll
a
notice
full
that
winder,
this
a full
rotor
rotor.
winds both ways.
Oh, nice.
Which is kind of cool.
Yeah, that is neat. And full skeleton case back is beautiful.
Yeah.
And the straps are great. He makes his own straps too?
Yep.
Or?
Everything's made in house, other than the movement.
Now, so are they made in Israel or Belgium?
They're not. They're made in Belgium.
In Belgium.
So what's cool about this is we ended up making one for the Jewish Watch Club, and then the Doha Watch Club made one for themselves.
Oh, really?
So you have an Arabic dial and a Hebrew Jewish dial.
No
So I
kidding.
think it's the first time that 2 clubs are collaborating with
Interesting.
one
Wow.
watchmaker.
Yeah.
And we made something beautiful.
Yeah, that is
So,
really beautiful. I
yeah.
love the dial. The dial is spectacular because it's so, it's that very almost abstract Jewish star.
Yep.
But when you know it's there, you see it.
Yeah. So,
It's really pretty. Yeah, I like that watch a lot.
Thank you.
What is that watch? What did that watch sell for?
About $2,300.
Yeah,
And it
wow.
sold out immediately.
I can imagine.
We have, like I said, 120 people, and we only made 18 of them. So we're working with 2
I
other
will be
brands.
on the next 42 millimeter. I cannot wear a 38 millimeter watch. I just can't do it.
Well, we're
Can't
working
do
with
it.
2 different manufacturers. One of them is going to have 2 models, and one's going to have 1.
Oh, wow. That's
So
great.
it'll be nice.
What would you say would be the most, we'll just call it substantial watch in your collection right now?
I think the ones that have meaning to
Ones
me.
that have meaning.
Yeah, probably the Oysterquartzes. I do have a couple, I guess you'd consider heavy hitter pieces that I bought for myself for different occasions.
Oh, yeah? What's one of those?
I have a 5712 Patek
Nice.
Philippe,
Yeah. What metal?
white gold.
Love the white gold on the
Yeah.
strap. It's funny because right now, if you look at all the Nautiluses, the 5712G white gold seems to be the least expensive Nautilus on the market.
It is, and
I think it's gorgeous. I love that dial.
surprisingly, but it's not even about the secondary market to me, right?
Yeah.
When I was offered that watch from the boutique, they gave me a choice. You want the G or the R? And I had already purchased a couple other Pateks that were all rose gold.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't want to have a third, rose gold Patek. So
Sure.
I went with the white gold.
Yeah.
And I wore it for a little while on that black strap that they gave me.
So you bought it new from the boutique like pre-COVID?
No, actually
Post-COVID?
post-COVID, when they opened up the new boutique, me being an HR guy, I kind of went on.
This was the 1916 boutique in Midtown?
Yes, yeah.
From Brian Gutberg?
From the Godberg family, yeah. So a couple days before he opened up, I went onto LinkedIn and I started, searching who works at the Patek Boutique, who works there, and I ended up.
Did you meet Marina?
I met Marina, but I ended up meeting a really nice young guy. We formed a good relationship, a friendly relationship over the last couple of years.
Right.
And he's helped me build a beautiful collection with the brand.
That's fantastic.
So yeah, it's special.
That's what people talk about. Oh, how can I get watches? And I say it starts with a relationship. Like if you think just walking in and oohing and ahhing over some watches is going to get you on the list, like you have to have a relationship.
Yeah, you have to have
you got to get their cell phone number for starters, because if you don't
Sure.
have a relationship where you're chatting back and forth, you're out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, no, and also
know?
I'd have to tell you that you have to have a trajectory in your watch collecting journey. Right, you can't just go after that one watch.
Yeah.
If I would have gone out the gate and said, "Hey, I just want that 5712. That's the only one I want,"
Yeah.
it wouldn't have worked.
Sure.
So I think that people have that in their mind, that they have that one-track mind
Yeah.
and getting what they want. If you want what you want, you buy things from OJ on the secondary market.
Right. Yeah.
That's it. You don't play those
Right.
games.
Yeah.
But if you want to build a real relationship and have a place to call home, anytime I'm in the design district, I can just pass by there, have a coffee, shoot the shit a little while. So it's nice to have those touch points.
Big props to 1916 in
Big
Midtown.
props. Big props. Yeah.
Brian Godberg.
Yeah.
My old buddy.
Yeah. So, but my journey really went full circle.
Sure
right?
it did, yeah.
So from being 7 years old, hearing that Oysterquartz tick, becoming a man at 13 with that first Tag Heuer, getting my father's GMT master.
Yeah, that's
having
pretty
that,
cool. So you still have that watch?
I do.
Yeah?
I do.
Oh,
It's in the
that's
safe.
awesome.
I didn't want
So
to.
does that have the box and papers?
I do. I have the box and papers.
And it's a 1675?
1675.
Yeah, so
and what's
awesome.
interesting is that the papers are they're open.
They're all open.
They're unsigned.
Yeah.
So
That's
one day
so
if I want to
cool.
write a name there, I can.
Yeah,
If
that is
not,
just so cool,
I'm going to
though.
leave it there.
That's
but
so
from
cool.
that, and then from the boardroom, and now to my community with Horology Connection,
Sure.
it's really coming full circle for me. And it's about identity, about the legacy
Right.
that you make, right? And about these pieces
Yeah.
that hopefully you leave for the next generation.
Right. So if you could quit your full-time job in HR and go into watches, would you do it?
Absolutely. So
Is that the trajectory?
that
is
is
that the dream?
that is a trajectory. To work along something that you're so passionate about that it doesn't feel like work.
100%. Do what you love and love what you do, man. That's why I became a watch dealer
Yeah.
26 years ago.
And hopefully retire at 55,
You know.
like my cousin Barry.
You know what? For me, the retirement is a dirty word. Yeah, and this is my theory. Like, if you love what you do, if work is fun, if you can combine going to Switzerland and watches with work, this is not. What do I want to retire from?
Yep.
Traveling?
But that is the retirement.
So I want to retire from traveling, hanging out with great people, drinking good wine, smoking cigars, driving fancy cars, hanging out with people who appreciate the finer things in life. What? I'm going to retire from that.
No, but you'll
So
retire
I learned
from the corporate world, and
Yeah, I retired from the corporate world when I started my watch company on eBay. That was literally my retiring
Yeah,
from the corporate
yeah.
world. Haven't worn a suit and tie or slacks and a shirt to work since.
Well, luckily since COVID, I haven't had to either. I've been mostly
God
remote,
bless.
so yeah, it's been good.
That's awesome, man. Well, I'm super excited to continue on our journey in building Horology Connection.
Thank you.
In celebrating all things watches. And you're certainly an ambassador for the celebration of watches, if nothing else, let me tell you, man.
Thank you,
But I
AJ.
still like Tastemaker.
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 Yeah, I like what I like. I don't like what I don't like.
Yeah.
That's just how it is.
There's no time for bullshit, man.
No,
you
there
know?
really isn't. There's a lot of bullshit in this industry.
Unfortunately.
It's sad, but hopefully we can change that.
Yeah, we were talking to Lex Barrero yesterday, and I said, "Do you think there's who's worse, the people in the watch business or the people in the music business?" And he's like, "Ugh."
Yeah, that's a double-edged sword there. Yeah, he's building something really nice with the Miami Watch Club.
Yeah. Mikey Fridman, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank
We
you, Jay.
enjoyed having you so much. Love to hear your story, and I can't wait to see you grow and become a full-time watch guy and give up your day job.
Appreciate that. Thank you, brother.
From my lips to God's ears, buddy.
Nice. Thank you so much.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.